Hi, welcome to an Arduino step-by-step course by Robojax. Now let's have a look at the switch and case. So what is a switch or a case? Switch is a simpler version of if and else if statement and executes block of code based on a specific case. An example of a if statement, and we can have if id is a variable. We are checking it if id is equal 555, so this 2 equal sign is for comparison purpose, and we are comparing id with 555. If this is true, then we print this text serial.println normal. So this is some kind of id and we are printing normal. We could do more, but for simplicity I'm just putting this one line. If this is true, this will be printed, but you can have multiple lines and multiple complicated code. Then we say else if this is not true, then we have another condition. id is equal 129. Again we put 2 equal sign. Remember, if you put 1 equal sign, this will be always true. 1 equal sign means assignment. 129 is assigned to id, and if we put 1 equal sign, and if we say if id is equal, which with 1 equal sign equal 129, then it checks if it can put 129 into id. As soon as it can put it, then the value will be true. For that reason we have to put 2 equal sign. Now we check if id is equal 129 with this 2 equal sign. We print this text and say abnormal. Else mean if this is not true and this is not true. In case these two are not true, then just say id not found. Here is how we define it. The switch is defined with the word switch with S, nothing is capital, and then we have open and close parenthesis, and inside this we have some kind of variable, and it must be a variable. You cannot put a string or numerical value. Opening curly brace and closing curly brace. This is exactly like other statements that we have in Arduino. So this is opening and closing, and then we have cases. For example, this case is value 1, so we put case and then value, which we compare it with this, and then we have this column. And if this is equal that, then we execute this block of code, whatever we put in here. It could be a piece, one line, or it could be hundreds of lines, or calling another function, whatever. And then if we have case 2, another case, we have another value 2, then we do that, and then we execute another piece of code if this is equal to that. This is an if statement that I've just explained, and now let's implement it using switch. This can be written like this. If we say if id, we just put id and then we put case 555, that's the first one, and then case 129, that's the second one, and then we put default. Default is equivalent to else. And here we check if id is equal 555, then we say serial print normal. And if that is the case, then we also put break. Break means do not go and compare to this. If you do not put the break, it will also go and check this. But in an if statement, it just checks it once. If this is true, it exits everything. But here, when this is true, if you do not put break, it executes this, and also it goes to the next line and check and prints it. So this breaks mean do not compare or do anything. If just do this and break, which means exit from this switch. If this is not true, if the id is not equal to 555, then compares this one, 129, compare it with id, like this line. If that is true, print this line. And if that is not true, then default means this is not true, this is not true, so just do this. ID not found. So this is how we use the switch, and now let's go for another example. If you found this tutorial helpful, please thumb up and also click on the subscribe on the right side in the lower corner. I really appreciate it. And here is another example. We have an integer variable called code. The value is 241, and inside the switch we just check the code against these values, and we see, for example, in here, if code is equal 721, then this case means if that code is equal 721, then execute this code, and this code is calling a function. There's a function called send warning, so this will be executed. And right now we don't know what is inside this function, but this is just an example. You can write your own function and call it based on the condition. Or if the code is equal 241, then open main door. Default, if this is not true, this is not true. You can have hundreds of these cases. Not true, then say wrong code. Wrong code means another function. Send SMS to someone, inform them, or take a picture, or shut the door, or do something else. So this is just a function. And here is the equivalent of the switch with this if code is equal 710, send warning. Else if the code is equal 241, then run this function, open main door, and default wrong code. Else mean wrong code, so the code must be these two. Of course we can have else if, more else if. So if is important at the beginning and else is important at the end to make this work. Please make sure to subscribe by clicking at the subscribe button in here. Thank you. Thank you for watching the tutorial from Robojax. If you learned something and found this useful, please thumb up, as this will help my video in the search algorithm of YouTube. If you have comment or question, please post it at the comment section below. I try to answer and reply. And don't forget to subscribe so you get updates of my upcoming videos.